Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Alex Palmer. Uh, I wanted to go over some stuff today because I was asked some questions recently that I think that it's valuable things to think about. You know, it's the type of stuff that I like to spend my time considering. And one of those things was, how do I grow my business? This is a really big, broad question, right? It's really deep water, so take a sec. This is going to kind of be a lot. It's already a lot for me. I need a pizza roll. It starts with this. We have a business idea. All right. We have a thing that we can do that people want to pay for. The majority of businesses in America, to my knowledge at least, they're service-based businesses. That is to say, somebody does something for you, right? Somebody mows your lawn, somebody walks your dog, somebody shampoos your goldfish, whatever. You get the gist. So that's the first question is, what can we do? Now, a lot of you have probably figured this out. Like, this part is probably already way behind you. But, just to establish, let's go over all of it, okay? So we know what we can do, okay? This thing has value, okay? Keep this in mind because I need you to first understand what the heck value is in your head, okay? Whatever we can do has a value. So, the question then is, who is it for? Who is it the person who is going to value this the most? So this also leans into choosing your demographic, starting to pick your niche, right? So who? Now, it could be anybody, right? You could literally go for anyone. Or you can specifically go for, how do I say this? You know, if you're a lawnmower, you can mow anybody's lawn, or you can specifically go for the high value targets, so to speak, right? You can go after schools, you can go after other businesses. This is the next thing that you want to determine when you're building the establishment of your business. Once we've established who it's for, then all we really have to do is figure out how do we package it. This is the part where people mess up, I think. So, and this is going to come back and start to talk about like what I meant by establishing what value means, okay? If you have 100 dudes, okay? Here's 100 dudes. Out of these 100 dudes, generally speaking, right? This is not precise math, it's not science, right? I'm not the penultimate authority. But generally speaking, this is what I think. Okay? Out of these 100 dudes, 60 dudes, okay? Same thing, let's talk about lawn mowing service. I actually really like this one because it's simple and it makes sense to me. I don't know who else it works for, but hopefully it works for you too. 60 of these people are gonna look at that and say, well, for that lawn job, I think that's worth $20. And actually too, I want to do this the right way because I'm not painting it very clearly. Let me back up a little bit. It's more of a range, right? You know, they'll say 20 to 30, okay? Let's be more realistic. Let's be more open-minded. Then the next 30 guys, they're going to say, well, I think that's worth 50 to like 80. And then you're going to have, out of those same 100, a 10 dude who they think, well, this is actually worth 2 to 3. This is all for the same job. By the way, right? The only difference here is that it's a different person, but they're no different in the job, right? To be clear, for the same exact job, this is how people are going to value it as a rule of thumb. So, the part that people screw up here is you need to make available the option for the person that you want to sell to, right? If all you sell is, if you say, hey, it's $30 for me to come and mow your lawn, right? That kind of starts to lock off this higher demographic of guys who they're looking for this amount of value, right? They're looking for this number in value. Remember I said about we need to understand what value is, right? What is value is? Value is I get what I want. Think of it like this. A lot of us are family members, right? If I ask you what you would do for your child, what you would give up, what you would trade for their happiness, for them to eat, for their safety, what would you say? My answer would be absolutely anything without question. And I would be very happy to cut off my left arm and my right leg for that. Well, that right there is called value. It's the simplest way I can put it. So, we need to make ourselves available to the guys who want to spend with us. That means it would be nice if we want to collect all 100 of these guys, we need a package that's going to be sellable to each of these brackets. So usually you have 3 tiers, right? This is the small, medium, large fry at McDonald's, basically. What you're really looking to do, to be honest, right? And then again, small, medium, large fry in mind. For the most part, you're selling here or here, right? Nobody really buys a medium fry, and like, yes, they do sell medium fries, but this isn't what McDonald's makes their money on, right? They make it either on the bulk or they make it on the primo. Just to point out, hey, that's a thing that has worked over the years. So now that we've just established who we are and what we're doing and who we're pitching to and how much we want to do it for, we now want to establish, well, how do we build ourselves up, right? There's still an X factor or two missing, right? People don't even know that you're doing this yet, do they? Okay. So, and these are the same steps that I'm trying to follow for all of the businesses that I work with. I'm giving it straight to you, basically, right? I like the number 3. I like things simple. So, the first piece for me, generate awareness. Free stuff, basically. For me, I think some of the best places that you can generate awareness, especially for free, especially early on, social medias, right? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Here on YouTube, great place to generate awareness, right? A way to go about that is by providing information. Again, if I'm a lawnmower, maybe I can go out and I can talk about, here's why it's valuable to get this type of cut at this time. I'm not even a lawnmower guy, but you get what I'm trying to say. If we're talking about anything that people are asking about, especially, that helps us get eyes on the business, and that is, I promise, starting to generate leads, whether you actually get the call or not. People are seeing it. You're starting to circulate. We're giving away free stuff. People like us. People are telling their mom, their dad. That's awesome. But we're trying to run a business, dude. So let's hurry up. Phase 2. Okay. Once we've generated this awareness, we've established ourselves, right? We've got all of our brand entities in order. Now we need to move on to making it an actual business, right? Of course, there are some steps in between here. You might be opening your LLC. You might be forming the terms of a partnership. A lot of depends and ifs in there. However, now it's very similar to stage 1. We generate awareness, but make them aware that we have paid stuff now. So they're already consuming our free stuff. They will at least take an interest in this. And again, that's building that circulation. This is how you start to bridge that gap from doing nothing and I'm just generating a buzz to actually capitalizing on that buzz. And then all we're doing is we're just trying to make people as aware as possible. Now, if that means continuing to, give out free stuff in relation that relates, right? Like, again, if I'm selling lawn mowing services, right? I'm talking about the values of my service, basically, right? Why guys in my industry should be paid. We're talking about how this helps you, right? Why it changes people's lives, right? Oh man, my kids are so much happier and so much safer because John mowed my lawn. I had no idea that all of these pests and insects could hurt my kids, right? if we give them that information, right, it makes the value clear as day, and it makes our position easy to fill. It's just my opinion. And then finally, you know, at this point, most people will be like, oh, great, I'm winning, you know? And I hope that that's the case. However, we always want to go bigger, don't we? And two, we want to take care of the things that are working. So the last step then is how do we expand? Do we, and this could be a lot of things depending on the scenario, okay? Do we open a new location? Do we add a new service? Do we like kind of combine this and just open a whole new business, right? And go for something else entirely? Do we change the people that we're going after, right? Instead of going after the schools, let's go after fire departments. Or do we want to go broader, right? Do we actually want to start going after everybody? This is to help you figure out what direction you want to go in. Because eventually that's how it is. It gets kind of random, right? A lot of people are going to take a lot of different paths, is what I'm trying to say. So these are the 3 steps. When you're asking, you know, what do I do? How do I build my business? I think these are the first things that I consider. I'm sorry, I'm not even done yet. All right. So one last thing I want to touch on before we're done here, though, is as we're assessing our business as we move forward, usually we're kind of looking at service and money, right? One of the first things that I think matters the most that you should keep in mind is there needs to be enough room for both the boss and the worker. Because when there's not enough room for both the boss and the worker, and I want to point out, I put these slashes here to signify there might be multiple parties under these, right? You might have partners, you might have multiple workers, okay? There's lots of ways that you might have to slice the pie. Now, there needs to be enough room for both of these guys, because what happens when there's not room for either of them, let alone both, you'll see a decrease in quality, a decrease in the supply that you need to sell and make money. Therefore, you'll see a decrease in demand and your business is dead. Boom, that sucks. Let's not do that. Okay. When you start out, it's probably going to look something like this, where your demand sucks, but you got tons of supply, right? Because nobody cares. And your quality is probably mid-level, okay? Over time, the first thing that we're looking to achieve, actually, is to basically even this out, right? We want to start giving people, we want to start generating a demand and reducing that supply, of course, evening this out, okay? Giving people what we have to give them. Once this is the case, right, this is your first stepping stone to success, I think. This means that you're starting to perform. Congratulations. Now, how do we grow from here? Well, we want to increase quality. When we increase quality, demand goes up. However, when you increase these things, your supply goes down. So what do we do when we don't have enough supply? Well, there's a couple things to consider, right? And again, keep in mind there needs to be enough room for the boss and the worker so that everybody's making money and everybody's happy to do the work and do it well. You can either introduce more employees, right? Generally is a good answer. Or otherwise, you can jack up the price, right? If this is what your graph looks like, this means you're doing a freaking good job. This is a great problem to have. A good problem is what I call this, right? We have good problems over here. So, if this is what you look like, another suggestion other than hiring, right? Probably a better suggestion is increase your price. What'll happen is, yes, you'll have less people saying yes. But overall, and I forget what the actual accounting principle is that accounts for this, not to make a pun, basically you'll do less work and you'll actually make more money. It's something like 20% more money depending on certain other percentages being slid. Like, again, I'm not the guy who invented this, but I've heard of it. So if anybody knows more about it, I'd actually love it if somebody could point me to the information so that I could learn it more concisely. It's something I heard about in glancing. But this makes sense to me, right? If we increase the price, what happens? That demand stops being so crazy. Okay? Our supply stops bleeding so bad. And our quality is still way up. This is scaling, in my opinion. One last quick thing. Overall, obviously, we want all of these things to increase. However, just using this graph as a visual aid, because I kind of like it today, if your quality is high, your demand is high, but your supply is low, generally this means that you need to introduce more workers or you need somebody to do more. Overall, generally what this means is you probably need to spend money. The boss is probably making more than he needs to make. Either that, or if you're not making enough money, then you need to reconsider your pricing structure, I would say, so that you can then and therefore increase the supply to match the demand, of course. If you have a really crappy product, you got a ton of it, and people love it, well, congrats, you're a great salesman. However, these things don't last. If you increase quality, you'll actually be able to charge more. So yeah, we always want to focus on our quality, of course, right? I'm sure we all want to do a good job anyway. If you have, right, high quality, high supply, but low demand, and you need to figure out what's wrong with sales. Either you're not chasing down your leads hard enough, right? You're not perusing all of your potential hiding places, if you will, right? Are you checking out the social medias? Are you messaging people directly? Are you putting up videos on YouTube? Are you running your ads? Are you paying Google, right? You know, are you paying Yelp? So on and so forth. What can we do to fix this, right? Because again, we all know that overall, we just want everything to go up. So I think that's best to go ahead and leave it there. I could probably talk about this all day, but really what I want to avoid is rambling. It's just a whole rabbit hole of a subject, but I really love this one. If anyone has any questions in relation to this or any business in general or anything that you might like to learn about that maybe I could learn and we can learn together, let me know down in the comments. I thank you for your time. Alex Palmer at your service as always, and I'll see you soon.